As we are passing through a time, there is a need to have collaborations amongst us. Keeping this collaborative approach in mind, SARTE, T3, and SKAL Asia join hands together to organize this e-conference and bring to you a positivity amongst us. Today, we have a strong lineup of speakers from the top leadership of SKAL International, SKAL Asia, and SKAL India, as well as from the industry, showing us the way forward. We have Mr. Sanjay Datta, President SKAL Asia, who took this initiative of having this conference. May I request Sanjay to introduce you to the most dynamic person at SKAL International. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you very much. I can't start this session without thanking Pallavi and the Informa team. So thank you, Pallavi. Though the idea was ours, but execution was yours. So thank you very much for this great effort from your end. And I hope it is beneficial to one and all. So ladies and gentlemen, without taking any more time, let me just introduce our SKAL International President, who is with us today. And no better day than today, because this being a World SKAL Day, I think we should get a message from Peter first. So it's over to Peter to give his message, and then we'll introduce the other people also to you. Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay, and congratulations on organising this. You and Carl and many of others that have done this, put this together. It's great. This is the way we're doing business at the moment. I will be known as SKAL President that was virtual. He was virtual. I've done so many Zoom meetings around the world. I've got a couple more tonight after this. I've got SKAL Alice Springs in Australia, and then at 11 o'clock tonight is SKAL London. So it's great to be here. Earlier this morning, it was 11 o'clock last night. We finished about 2 o'clock this morning. We had the International Councillors Zoom meeting, which was very good. There was about 33, 34 on that as well. So it's a very challenging time, unprecedented time in SKAL's history. The only other time that there's been something like this was the Second World War, which is a long time ago. I'm here to any questions you want to ask me. I know you've sent me some ones, but I'm willing to do those. And anything else that comes up, I'm very happy to answer if possible.
So thank you, Peter. You want to say a word or two on the World SKAL Day to the members? I think they are here too. Yeah.
Right. It's a great occasion. 1934 we were founded, and it's a great occasion to be doing this on World SKAL Day. And I want to thank everyone that has put a toast up. There's so many that have gone on the social media, and also for using the new circle frame of SKAL doing globally tourism. Yeah. That's excellent. So best wishes for the rest of this World SKAL Day.
Thank you, Peter. Peter, let me just, can I call you Peter instead of President, if you don't mind?
No, just call me Peter. Yeah, that's my name.
Yeah. So I think that's better, and you prefer it that way also. Let me ask you one question. Is there any other association in the world? You have traveled the world across, so has everybody else. Is there any association in the world which is as old as 86 years old? Which I don't think if there's any.
There probably is, but I'm not aware of them. I mean, we're the world's largest tourism and travel organisation, and I'm not. There's probably I don't know how long Rotary and Lions clubs have been going, but
they are not related to tourism. They are not related to tourism. No, so basically,
tourism we're the biggest,
we are the oldest and the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Carl. If you can take the proceedings further, let's start with the town hall, or it's over to Carl. Carl is the one moderating. So may I also welcome Vikas and Andrew Chan on this elite panel. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Vikas. As people join in, we'll welcoming them. So sorry for my interference here, but then I need to welcome them to the panel. Thank you, Carl. Over to you. Al, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, World President Peter Morrison, for being with us. And thank you, Sanjay Datta, SKAL Asia President, for inviting me to moderate the session. It's indeed a great day to be here. It's bright and sunny across Asia. Of course, we're all indoors. Having said that, happy World SKAL Day to all of you. And as Sanjay said earlier, forgive me if I refer to all of you by your first names. So having said that, before we begin the town hall, we've got some great, wonderful messages that have poured in from around the world that have been organized by Sanjay. We will begin with a video by his colleague Lavon Whitman, who's the immediate past president for SKAL International prior to when Peter took over. Can we have his colleague Lavon Whitman's video, please?
Hello, fellow SKALigs. It's an absolute pleasure for me to celebrate World SKAL Day with you, right here from our home in sunny Pretoria, South Africa. You, and only you, are your product, not your career or establishment. You are the one that people want to do business with. Acceptance, adaptability, flexibility, and patience are going to be the new currency. So work on those, that your stocks are profitable when the world pushes play again. Remember, you are in charge to direct your success and destiny, not the COVID-19 virus, not your government, not your leaders. Remember, we've only pushed the pause button and not the stop button. I'm excited about the future. I know that there are huge challenges, but we can now start using our minds, find hidden talents that we can use in the huge unknown. Relationships are going to be of paramount importance. How you manage them is just as important, not only in your social life, but also in your business life. Remember, the world out there is exciting, so let's look into the future with excitement and not fear, and watch the bridges burning behind us. There is always an ebb and flow in every lifetime. Stay safe, stay healthy, but most importantly, stay being a SKAL member. It is and will be your greatest investment. Thank you, and see you on the other side.
So that was a video that was sent to us by his colleague Whitman, wishing all of you. And before we get on to the next video, just want to welcome all our attendees. I can see we have well past over 300 attendees already. Members from that comprise travel agents, tour operators, airlines, hoteliers, and of course we even have principals of training institutes that have joined us. Members across from several clubs in Asia, and of course you're very much here at home in India. Our next message is from Fabian Clerc. He is the Vice President for SKAL Asia and the President for SKAL Tokyo in Japan. Can we have Fabian's video, please?
Dear colleagues, my name is Fabien Clerc, currently the President of SKAL Tokyo and the Vice President of SKAL East Asia. We remain united in facing an unprecedented challenge. The COVID-19 virus does not discriminate. It knows no borders, and as we have seen over the recent days, nobody is immune. The tourism industry has been one of the hardest hit, the impact of the spreading coronavirus pandemic, but it could also be the first one to recover once COVID-19 is managed. The reality is that certain businesses will not survive and jobs will be lost. The pandemic will, however, change the way we do business, looking at technology and digital solutions, how we work with the collective industry on driving business and leisure tourism. While we are going through this crisis now and looking at the short-term immediate requirements, we all have to look at the long term and tend to put together a recovery plan. This plan will have to be comprehensive and shared throughout the sector. It will be a blueprint on how the tourism destinations around the world reposition themselves, both globally and domestically. Let us unite in fighting COVID-19 together as a SKAL community. Don't travel now, so you can travel later. We must make a short-term sacrifice today for a long-term recovery. In many places, we are seeing the end of the tunnel, and we have to remember that the crisis will eventually come to an end. We should feel grateful to be part of such an outstanding and bonding community where we can count on each other for support and love. From Japan, on the SKAL World Day, I am joined by the hundreds of colleagues in Japan in sending you a message of hope, friendship, and strength. On this occasion, I will do the toast in Japanese. Seikai no doho no minasan. Kofuku, kenko, yujo, choju, kanpai.
Well,
I'll allow me if you may. Thank you very much, Levon and Fabian. Levon, as you all know, is our immediate past president, and Fabian is the vice president for SKAL Asia. One of the bright jewels here, a diplomat, a very nice gentleman. You would see him perform, say a few words there. And may I also, sorry, President Peter, I could not do that earlier, but you had requested, can we have the SKAL toast before we start on, please? President Peter, I would like you to kindly say the toast.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yep. Please repeat after me. To fellow colleagues everywhere.
To fellow colleagues everywhere.
Happiness.
Happiness.
Good health.
Good health.
Friendship.
Friendship.
Long life.
Long life.
SKAL.
SKAL.
Happy World SKAL Day, everyone.
Thank you, President Peter. Over to you, Carl. Thank you.
Well, thank you, President Peter, for that toast, and thank you, of course, to colleague Lavon Whitman, former president of SKAL International, and of course, Fabian Clare. And we will now have a very special message from Jerry Perez, who is the former president of SKAL Asia, a position that now our dear friend Sanjay has taken over.
I would tell you one small incident here. We in Delhi, we did the SKAL Asia Congress in 2011. And that is when I met Gary Perez, because I was the Congress chairman. So I hold him in very high esteem. And at that point of time, he gave me a few tips, which helped me become a better colleague and a better person, as a matter of fact. So thank you, Gary. Before I say anything, you can hear the message from Gary, who is a known figure in SKAL Asia. Over to Gary. Over to you, Carl, rather, as a matter of fact.
Yes, can we have the message from Gary Perez, please?
Hello, my name is Jerry Perez, past president and international counselor of Asia. SKAL International President Peter Morrison, Asia President Sanjay Datta, Director Vijay Raj, speakers, participants of the town hall, and fellow colleagues everywhere. I wish you all happiness, good health, long life, and sincerest friendship from the island of Guam. Guam is the easternmost club in Asia, where America's COVID-19 lockdown begins. Since SKAL International was formed 86 years ago, our tourism industry has undergone drastic changes in the marketing and distribution of products and services. And all of us have had to adjust to the impact that came in its wake. But never ever before has the paradigm shifted to the degree that the COVID-19 virus has inflicted upon a global industry that is more than 10% of global GDP. Closer to home, our Asia-Pacific region is most impacted by the loss of nearly 50 million jobs and $800 billion in GDP. And at the local level, many of our members of the Guam Club are currently assisting connection with the accommodation and quarantining of sailors and Marines from the U.S. aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt, now anchored in Guam. This town hall is an excellent forum to share real-time information, insight, and analysis on strategies that will hopefully lead to the recovery of an industry that is vital to the livelihood of millions of people around the world. Congratulations to SKAL Asia and SATE for organizing this town hall and for hopefully giving us an opportunity to talk about how best we can recover from this devastation. Thank you and Godspeed. SKAL.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Gary Perez from all the way from Guam. So you can imagine, SKAL Asia spreads its wings from Middle East all the way to Guam, and Gary Perez has been an inspiration to SKAL Asia. Thank you, Gary. Over to you, Carl.
Thank you, Sanjay. And I just want to say that it was interesting to have Guam speak this morning, because the last time we saw them, they were enthusiastically participating, and I'm sure Director Vijay Mohan Raj will remember they came all the way to Hyderabad for the World Congress.
Yes,
so it's nice to have them here and always supporting us on every initiative. Before we begin the town hall, this early first session would not be complete if we don't introduce colleague Mohammad Bouzouzi, who is the immediate former past president for SKAL Club of Bahrain, and another attendant at the World Congress that was graciously hosted by Hyderabad Club and led by Vijay Mohan Raj. So if we can have the video from Mohammad Bouzouzi, please.
World President Peter Morrison, Asia President Sanjay Datta, panelists, Asia board members, colleagues. Let me salute you all. Indeed, we are going through a tough times in which I would like to extend to you, your families and loved ones, my sincerest wishes. Stay safe, strong, and healthy. President Sanjay, thank you for a great initiative. This webinar will no doubt regroup us against social distancing and lockdown. Not to sound negative, but with the old days gone, we need to invigorate new platforms for hospitality and tourism industry after being affected the most by the COVID-19 pandemic. The webinar is a great tool to reconnect members and attract more participants globally without location restrictions. I suggest that we all look into the domestic and regional business tourism with all the new restrictions which could last long. We have a great potential, so why not explore it? We should share future business opportunities and discuss the pros and cons based on the current situation and the way forward. I wish you all a successful, fruitful webinar. And please allow me to share this joke with you all so we are in a happy mood. A little boy with diarrhea tells his mom that he needs Viagra. Mom asks, why on the earth do you need that? The little boy says, isn't that what you gave daddy when his shit does not get hard? God bless you all and thank you and all the best.
So guys, that is colleague Bouzouzi for you. He never fails to bring a smile in your face in whatever way possible. And I full marks to him for bringing a cheer to our faces during these times of crisis. So the idea was to get all these people. There are a few more in the lineup because this is all about SKAL Asia. So involving people across Asia was the intention we had. and I hope you like it. Thank you very much, and all the very best. Carl, over to
Thank you, Sanjay. And it was great to have colleague Buzuzi and his lovable and laughable jokes as always. But let's begin with this morning's town hall session. And I would like to welcome once again World President colleague Peter Morrison. And of course, he will be joined by colleague Vijay Mohan Raj, who is the director at SKAL International, looking after trade fairs and industry affairs. We also, of course, will be joined by our own SKAL Asia President, colleague Sanjay Datta. So welcome, gentlemen. And Sanjay, would you like to ask the first question?
Yeah, President Peter, there is hardly a time when anybody gets a chance to grill you. Though this is not the grilling, this is more towards the benefit of the members. But the first question that I want to put across to you is, why do you think it is important to be a SKAL member more than ever before? Is SKAL, being a SKAL member, beneficial right now to the membership? I would like you to say a few words on this, and then I would also like Vijay to put on a bit on that, please. Thank you, Peter. Over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. In these challenging and unprecedented times in our history, it is more important than ever that people remain a member of our organisation. It's strength through numbers. It's strength through our new website that we will be able to get business with deals with friends of SKAL. We're just about to launch that back on our website. We're also launching a job bank on our website. There's a newsletter coming out tonight that'll mention these things. But it's when times of crisis that you really need to belong to organisations that can work well together. If we all work together in this crisis, we can overcome a lot of it. It's not going to be easy. No one's saying it's going to be easy when our industry and the worldwide is the worst hit. But having an organisation that is well resourced, well led by our office team in Spain is the most important. So I plead with everyone to please remain a member of this organisation. When you add up the dollars or the euros, it might sound expensive, but the money that goes to Spain is only €51, which is less than €1 a week to be a member.
Right. Yeah, Peter, I have a question for you. And this really is more to do with the Congress. With the World Congress scheduled around the corner, do you see a Congress that would take place perhaps virtually, or do you think it will happen with people meeting physically?
Well, as I said earlier in my introduction remarks, that we had the SKAL International Councillors had a Zoom last night. And it was sad that the interim councillor for Croatia had to announce that they will not be capable of holding the International Congress now in October. The government bureaus have run out of money because they've had no tourism coming through, which is their prime time. So it won't be held. We at the executive committee have had discussions. We did give them till the 15th of May to make that decision and tell us. And we've had discussions, and we have got a plan B, which will be advised as soon as possible to all our members worldwide. In my opinion, this is my own opinion because it hasn't been agreed by I don't think that we're going to be able to do a face-to-face Congress this year. There are so many countries that have borders that won't be open to allow people to travel. There are a lot of our members who have lost their jobs or their businesses, or are only getting 50% of their salaries, etc., etc. So all those reasons add up to say that it would be very doubtful if any country could make a profit out of or even a break-even situation, and the numbers that would attend. So we have invested in some software that we'll be able to hold our AGA. It won't be a whole Congress. It'll just be the annual general meeting, which we have to do under the statutes. So that is we're looking forward to that. We may be, we haven't just finally, we only found out this last night, so we haven't finalised everything, but we may be able to, there might be some country that's willing to do it. But it also add to the fact that I've already said about airlines operating, borders being open, what price, when airlines do start again, what prices are they going to be charging? Because if they have to have social distancing on an airplane, it'll be like flying first class in the airplane, and the prices will probably be that way as well. So that's the situation as I see it at this stage. Right. In future years, though, I'm going to answer the last part of my other question. In future years, it is in my mind is fully on having face-to-face Congress. We must remember that we are in the travel industry, and if we do not travel, why would we expect other people to travel? Face-to-face congresses are far better. It's when we meet our friends face-to-face. You can concentrate a lot better in a Congress hall when you have speakers, etc., than on virtual virtual situations like this. So in future, I'm all for having face-to-face congresses. At this stage, Quebec, Canada have been granted the Congress in 2021, and it is the executive committee's opinion at the moment that we will ask Croatia to bid again for 2022. Well, because they put a lot of work and a lot of money into this, and they deserve to have it. It's like when we didn't go to Kenya in 2000. I think it was 2015, where we went to Spain, and then we allowed Kenya to come back and when they could hold it.
Well, thank you, President Peter, for that clarification, because the last part also I think most of us colleagues were waiting to hear, especially in light of the fact that we have a club from India that was looking to bid for 2022. And I think that clarity helps us all. Thank you so much for that. It therefore means that we need to plan for 2023, if I've understood your last comment, correct?
Yes, yeah. That's and as I said, this has only happened at 1 o'clock this morning, New Zealand time.
Well, thank you for that message, and thank you for that clarity.
I will also like Vijay to answer that question, the question which I put. How is it important for to be a member of SKAL International at this point of time? Vijay, can you please put some...
Well, according to me, this is the time when we need to unite. We need to work under a single umbrella. And not many people realize that SKAL has got 30 classification of members. And we are the only organization which has all the arms of the industry. So I think as things go forward in future, where a lot of changes will happen, a lot of policy decisions will be taken, every city will have its own way of going about the crisis. We need one organization to represent the entire industry. So I think this is the time when we should be approaching the industry and asking them to come under one fold, that is the SKAL fold, and take this, handle this crisis in their own way, in their own regions and cities. So that is number one. Second is, when you work together, when you work, if you can understand that SKAL is a very disciplined organization. We are working under the same statutes and the same bylaws in the entire 95 countries and 350 cities. So I think this is a time to be a part of an organization that has got credibility. That's what I see.
Vijay, I have a question for you. You know, especially since you are director for trade fairs and industry affairs, that's your portfolio at SKAL International on a global level. So my question is, what steps do you think are needed to bridge alliances with governments or with global bodies? Do you see a role for SKAL to act as a facilitator between GDS organizations and service providers? I mean, there is a lot of issues with IATA. There are a lot of issues with payments and BSP settlements and refunds. Your opinion on the subject?
Yeah, organization is as powerful as its constituents. So when I speak about having 30 different classifications as a part of an organization, you can understand how powerful that organization becomes. The only thing is that we have not used this to the potential that it should have been used. And I look forward in my vision, especially in this time, that this organization and every city, every area, every national committee, and also the international keeps drilling this into the industry people that they should come under one fold. Coming to your question about joining hands with the government or working with the government, with the policy makers or the IATA, whatever, the only way you can give credibility and value to your members is when they realize that you will be making a difference to their businesses. Today, business is not like what it used to be earlier. A lot of policy changes happen from time to time. We have so many changes in the hotel industry, taxation, the way the government is handling in different regions in different ways. So we need the organization to be truly representative. And what better value can the members get than having been able to go under the umbrella of SKAL and get their grievances sorted out or get their ideas sorted out? Because the government is only as good as what the information they get. Unfortunately, we have not been able to communicate very well with our policymakers on exactly what we require. After some policy is laid down onto us, we go and we complain about it because we tell them our difficulties. But we are not called as an industry. Like in India, if you can just see the other day, there was a webinar. We are not even got an industry status in spite of the fact that we are a country of 1.4 billion people. And the amount of employment that this industry is giving, creating is amazing. It's one for every 5 jobs. One is from the travel industry or the travel and tourism industry, which is huge. So I think time has come when we start taking this organization our membership with this organization very, very seriously. I would like to visualize that going forward, especially during this COVID-19, we bounce back as one of the premier organizations, getting all the arms of the industry together under one umbrella.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
The same question came up last night. And I emphasised to them last night that we must, in all countries, try to get a voice in all tourism matters. And it's country by country in some areas, some of these things. But we need to also get back to some of the old days that we used to have a voice with airlines. We used to have a voice with. We need to have a voice with some of these new OTAs, etc., etc. We do have a seat on the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Daniela, and we're going to be asking Daniela to be pushing this. We have a memorandum of understanding with PATA as well. And I know VJ has been doing a lot of work trying to get the UFTA agreement and MOU signed as well. But that's where we need to be. We need to be with all those organisations putting pressure on various governments around the world that we employ 1/10 of the people in the world in our industry. So we need to have more say and we need to get this to happen. So last night after the International Council meeting, I will be asking Daniela at our next executive board meeting to be pushing this with UN World Tourism Organisation.
Peter, we've already signed the agreement with UFTA and we signed an MOU with China.
Yep, that's right.
Last year.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, President Peter and Vijay, for your remarks. Sanjay, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question to them, both to Peter as well as Vijay. Peter, I have been observing. I've been a SKAL member for a long time, and I've attended quite a few SKAL International Congress also. You know, somewhere down the line, I get this feeling, and I have spoken to so many others who get this feeling. And since this forum is more about SKAL Asia, I would like to answer in certain ways as to how do you see SKAL Asia, how do you want SKAL Asia to be going forward? What should be the right way for them? Kindly show us some direction, give us some suggestions, so that we can be more visible throughout the world. We can be more representative, as a matter of fact, because you see representation from SKAL Asia as far as SKAL International is concerned is quite limited as of today. But we need that growing, because participation by SKAL Asia should be much more. I'm not talking about area committee as such, but I'm talking about Asians going on to the main SKAL International frame, so that they can contribute much more. Because the growth in Asia, I see, is much better than the rest of the world, as a matter of fact.
It is. And I said that last year in Bangalore. The SKAL Asia area is the fastest growing area, not just in the number of members from that area, but in worldwide tourism. If you look at the figures, SKAL Asia Oceania is the fastest growing by a long way in tourism and travel. So to me, they should have a bigger voice in that. It's all a matter, you know, and our organisation, as you know, is all a matter of getting the votes to getting on the board. But you know, I definitely said it last year in Bangalore that you deserve more recognisation. It's fastest growing. There's more travellers going to that area of the world than anywhere else. So you know, it's a matter of bringing people through the organisation, and I think you're doing that. You've got some very good leaders.
Thank you very much for that. Vijay, your comment on this, please.
The current scenario, Sanjay, with what is happening in the world, you can see what's happening in Europe and USA. And the future, as I visualize it, is that there will be a lot of, whenever tourism starts, I think a lot of activity will happen in the Asia region, where you will have a lot of tourists wanting to come into Asia. So I think time has come when you know, Asia gets the importance it deserves, and I think we will together take it forward from here and try and get our membership more active, get them to do more, help them out to in their businesses, and also get them to participate more in the international congresses. I think we should do that.
Thank you, President Peter, and thank you, Vijay, for this. We have some future leaders in this panel also. Hiru, we have Hamid Halawachi, we have Carl Vaz, we have Andrew Chan, and many more who would have logged in. So it's very encouraging for them to know that you know, SKAL Asia incidentally is on the right direction, and hand-holding by SKAL International would be there if and when we need it. Over to you, Carl. You have anything else, or shall I tell Peter to give his concluding remarks?
Can we have Peter's Peter, could we please have your concluding remarks?
Well, I'm staying on for the seminar, so I'm staying on for the rest of the webinar. So I don't really want to do any concluding yet, just to say thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
I'm not running away anywhere.
Let's take the concluding remarks from Peter in the end, and Carl, remember that, please. Thank you.
All right. So we'll move on then.
Before moving on, can I welcome Vikram and Hamid Alwachi. Hamid is from Bahrain and Vikram is very much from Delhi, known to one and all. Hamid, please thank Mr. Bazouzi whenever you meet him for his lovely message of encouragement. Even Vikas Manra is here from Gulf Air, which also is very close to, which has its headquarters in Bahrain. That's it we have for the time being. Carl, over to you for the rest of the thing.
Right. So we have a video message from Wolfgang Grimm, who's the current president for SKAL International Thailand. Can we have Wolfgang's message, please?
Dear fellow SKAL Asia members, on a day like this, I recall my first year in SKAL Hong Kong 40 years ago, celebrating the first anniversary of SKAL Macau, and again the SKAL Asia Congress 2 years ago. As we navigate through these historic and uncertain times, we propose to demonstrate the value of SKAL membership by launching Skoliday in Thailand on our social media websites. Taking a local break, enjoying the generous offers by all Thai SKAL members for members and their guests. They all deserve a ray of sunshine after isolation, recharge their spirit and mind. Book an exclusive Skoliday package at In, Krabi, Phuket, Samui, Hua Hin, Bangkok and Chiang Mai. Subject, of course, to prevailing government health and distancing rules. Upon success, we could even extend Skoliday to our Asian friends when the international air traffic resumes. SKAL Thailand is alive, and it is doing business amongst friends. On behalf of SKAL Thailand, I am Wolfgang Grimm, President of Thailand. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, colleague Wolfgang. Colleague Wolfgang is the president for SKAL Thailand, and I can't tell you enough because we also had to cancel the SKAL Phuket Congress, and as has been requested by colleague Wolfgang also, I would request you all, once the COVID-19 crisis is over, we need hand-holding for each and every one, and more so for Phuket Club, who have experienced a lot of pain and strain on their finances because of cancellation of this Congress. So Phuket will definitely need hand-holding going forward. Thank you once again, colleague Wolfgang. Carl, we can have the next video, please.
Yeah, so thank you to President of SKAL International Thailand, Wolfgang Grimm. Our next message is come all the way from the Philippines. We have a message from Dr. Elton C. Tan, who is the International Counselor for SKAL Club of Manila in the Philippines.
He's also the international immediate past president for SKAL Manila.
My name is Dr. Elton C. Tan, SKAL International Counselor and immediate past president of SKAL Club of Manila. It is a great honor to be invited to the SKAL Asia Townhall and Plenary, going beyond COVID-19, on 86th anniversary of SKAL International. During these difficult times, the SKAL Club of Manila and all the travel tourism sectors has been helping the private and public hospitals by donating face masks, necessity items, food to the frontliners. As much as possible, we're helping the frontliners during this COVID-19. The enhanced community quarantine in National Capital Region and other provinces, especially Metro Manila, is extended until May 15, 2020, according to His Excellency President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. During this period, the travel industry experts has repeatedly mentioned the tourism business will take more than 6 months to recover, or even longer. So as
I think we just had a small technical error with that video. So let us, can we get it back on or can we move on?
Especially Metro Manila is extended until May 15, 2020, according to His Excellency President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. During this period, the travel industry experts has repeatedly mentioned the tourism business will take more than 6 months to recover, or even longer. So as of this moment, we're trying to do all our meetings through Zoom virtual meetings and helping as much as possible through donations, through Zoom meetings, and through other means, helping all the private and public hospitals. We hope that this COVID-19 will pass soon and the tourism sector will be back to normal. Thank you once again for inviting us to this town hall and plenary sessions on the 86th anniversary of SKAL International. The e-hotels, resorts, and residence suites welcome all SKALics. Anytime you visit Manila, please come by and visit us. We welcome all SKALics to the Philippines. It's more fun in the Philippines. Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you, Dr. Tan. It was a great message for you. If you are listening and anybody else listening from Philippines, our congratulations on the World SKAL Day. Thank you for the great message. Something wrong somewhere. Yeah, Carl, over to you. Carl, over to you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Sanjay. Okay, so we had a bit of a technical problem, I think, a little earlier on, but we're back online. Our next message is from a dear lady and a friend of India's, and of course Asia as well, because she was former Secretary of SKAL Asia, colleague Joan Beshard. Can we have Joan's message, please?
Hi everyone, I'm Joan Beshard, former Asian Area Secretariat. SKAL is my passion and it will always be. I would encourage you to listen to the video clip of Jerry Inzerillo, which has been doing the rounds. It may give you a better perspective. Like Jerry, I too am positive that we will overcome this. People will plan their holidays and they will travel. Eventually everything will fall into place. Perhaps not as it was, but as it should be. Change is good, and we need to embrace it and look for positive ways to overcome. There are so many cultures in the world, and especially in Asia. If we stand together, we can make it work better now than it was previously. Take care, stay safe, looking much forward to meeting all of you soon. Happy SKAL International Day.
Thank you very much, Joan. Joan is the most popular figure in Asia and the longest serving secretary as far as I know. And she was excellent while she was there. Not that others have not been good, others have been as good as she was, but she was, in my opinion, one of the best. So thank you, Joan. Thank you very much. Carl, over to you for the next one, please.
Well, thank you, Sanjay, and thank you to all our colleagues from around the world who've sent in their messages. Let's begin with the first plenary session. And I'm going to introduce some of our speakers, our panelists, should I say, for the first session. We have with us colleague Girish Bindra, who is the president for SKAL Club of Delhi, the world's largest club. So welcome, Girish, once again. We have Mr. Praveen Gandhi, who is a well-known travel professional and a consultant. So welcome, Praveen. We have Dr. Deepak Raj Joshi, who is the former CEO of Nepal Tourism Board and currently actually helping with various messaging and communication services during the COVID situation in Nepal. Welcome, Dr. Deepak. We also have with us Mr. Vikas Mandra, who is a Senior Manager Business Development at Gulf Fest. So welcome, Vikas, and thank you for being with us. We have with us Mr. Sunil V.A., who is the Regional Vice President for the Indian Subcontinent, for India and Subcontinent for Oman Air. So welcome, Sunil. We have his colleague Abdul Hamid Halwachi, who is with the SKAL International Club in Bahrain, and also the founder of Experts in Hospitality. So welcome, Mr. Hamid Halwachi. Gentlemen, I will all refer to you by your first names if that's okay. So I beg your forgiveness for that. Thank you. And Sanjay, would you like to ask the first question?
Okay, guys, we have a very good mix of panelists here, which is from a travel perspective, we have from the hotel perspective, we have from the tourism perspective. Dr. Deepak Joshi is there very much, and we have Mr. Hamid, who is an expert into hospitality. So going forward, I'll ask this question, which is addressed to all of you, and I want all of you to answer. Going forward, what do you think should one be doing as an individual, like somebody like me who owns a travel company, or somebody there who owns a hotel, somebody who owns a hospitality business, or somebody who owns a resort, or somebody who owns an outbound company or an inbound company. So going forward, what do you think should be the should be the real thing? I think Mr. Praveen Gandhi would be more apt to answer this question to start with, and then others can take lead from there. Thank you.
So Sanjay, thanks a lot, and good morning to all of you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be with all of you today. As I look at it, this COVID crisis possibly has exposed a lot of our organizations to the gaps that possibly we had internally as well as externally in the processes, in the technology, and in the field of financial prudence. I think in the travel agency business or in the travel and hospitality business, as I can see, financial prudence possibly should take a precedent over anything else today, because we've seen the companies going down, we have seen the M&As falling off, we have seen the companies going down, we have seen the frauds, we have seen the airlines going down. So why is it happening? It is possibly we have not been following the financial prudence within the company as much as we should have been doing. So I look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as a two set of things that possibly each and every company in the hospitality and the travel trade needs to do. One is to meet with the immediate challenges that we have in hand, that by and large would be the same but would vary from company to company as well, a part of it. So we need to put a complete list of the challenges that we need to deal with as a immediate measure. And secondly, we need to put a plan for future, when the COVID crisis are over. What possibly could be the business plan going forward? Is the business plan that we are really dealing with or handling as on date, would that hold good post-COVID era? What would be the changes? How to deal with that? How to make the organizations lean and thinner? How to really streamline the processes? How to introduce the technology? And possibly how to preserve the cash and how to bring a balance between the ability of the companies to make a more sustainable business model. So that would be my response to your question.
Girish, can you elaborate on this, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah, the way, good morning, colleagues. The way I would look at this, is, especially from keeping the hospitality business in mind, we keep talking about we should do this, we should do that, but I have a very simple and straightforward aspect to this. There are two kinds of customers. One is your internal customer, which are people our colleagues who work in hotels, and one is your external customer, who are your guests. So I think it's very important. Can you hear me? Is there something? So it's very important to ensure that both aspects, whether internal or external customer, commit to themselves. Because, you know, it's the easiest thing to tell a hotel general manager or the owner that this is what your people should do. But I think it has to come from within, because hygiene, cleanliness is the key to future, especially after this. And the same thing goes to guests. You know, we also have issues today when the car is being driven into a hotel. A guest will turn around and say, why is my car checked? I come into the gym every day. But that's no excuse. The same way, I think it's a commitment that needs to come from internal as well as an external customer to move forward. And I think that's the need of the hour.
Sanjay, I think you need to unmute yourself. Sanjay, you're on mute.
Yeah, Mr. Joshi, I would like you to answer this this question which I put forward, but I want you to answer this question as a hat you used to wear earlier, that of a CEO of Nepal Tourism, rather than in your current capacity. Current capacity, we'll come to a question later on which Carl will ask you, but I want this particular question to be answered as your previous hat which you used to wear as a CEO of Nepal Tourism.
Thank you, his colleagues, and thank you all the leaders and players of our industry. I think this is the time to pause now and then to be ready to unpause after some time. So also in a way we can talk like, you know, that this is time to rethink, reset and restart. Saying this, I doesn't mean that we have to completely change our ecology or ecosystem in the doing of business, but simply somewhere if we need kind of correction, we need to be look into that perspective. And then after, immediately after post-COVID, in Nepal, we are working like, you know, the identifying few segments and few markets to start with. For example, in every crisis, after every crisis, there are 4 segments which bounce back very, very quickly. One is obviously domestic, which is easy to engage and involve. And then second is niche segment, where the strong desire is there for the travelers, in which our region is very, very strong. And third is business and corporate segment, where there is a kind of compulsion to travel. And third is pilgrimage segment, again, a very strong belief to travel. So we have identified these 4 segments to start with after some time. And then when we talk about market-wise, obviously, a domestic market is the number one to survive the industry. And at the same time, when domestic starts, we can start our regional markets. A few days back, we had a very good conversation with the officials of TAFE, Faith, these all friends of India. And then we're very happy to see that, you know, both the sides were have further collaboration.
Next session. Why should I come on now?
And then third is the short-haul market and then long-haul market. So we have doing this line, and then I personally think is, you know, the not to panic. This is the time to pause. So after some time, the largely tourism industry will remain safe, and we should be hopeful.
So Dr. Joshi, since I have you on the spot, I'm going to ask another question. You know, has Nepal therefore put in place, or are you working with Nepal Tourism Board or the local government to put in place some sort of strategic approach towards securing travelers after the next 4 to 6 months, let's say?
Yes, there is. The new normal will be, you know, from industry side and from the traveler side, we'll look for the hygiene, safety type of concerns. That's why we have already drafted a kind of safety guidelines, protocols. In 3 segments, in fact, we are working on. One is setting up safety guidelines and the protocols. Second is training and orientation to the service providers. And third is the monitoring mechanism of these whole development. So initially, the draft is made for aviation sector, which is being coordinated by Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, especially in 3 segments: airports, aviation, and the airlines. And then secondly, another sector is in trekking, hotel, rafting, climbing, and transport segment. This is being coordinated by Nepal Tourism Board. And we have already sent these kind of protocol and guidelines to the respective associations. For example, for hotel sectors, we have sent to the Hotel Association of Nepal. For travel and tour, it is sent to NATA, Nepal Association of Tour Operators. For restaurant and other things, we have sent to the Restaurant and Bar Association of Nepal. And very soon, we are getting their feedback, and we'll compile this. We are going to make one. We are also consulting experts on it, and then we'll make a kind of manual infographics very soon, and then we'll communicate this to our the industry. And then third thing is we have set up a kind of mechanism where a kind of regular monitoring will be there. And in this segment, the government officials, private sector representatives, and tourist police will be there for monitoring of this development. Obviously, the safety concern is the #1 priority now, and tourism industry is one of the most important industry, so we cannot compromise. So we are very serious on it, and we are doing this at this time.
I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Deepak, with another question in a bit, but I'm just going to shift now and get an airline perspective from Vikas Mandra, who's here, who's joining us from Gulf Air. So we, of course, so we have a club of Bahrain, and of course we've got a panelist. We've got 2 members from Bahrain on this panel. So Vikas, my question to you is, what measures has Gulf Air taken or plans on taking or implementing from an India and West Asia perspective? I mean, to attract corporate, leisure, or MICE, is there some sort of a plan to go up in phases? Are we looking at certain markets, flights taking off for certain markets? Has there been has a plan been put in place, Vikas?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to share views on this forum. Yes, we have been behind the scenes working tirelessly to put a plan specifically, for India and West Asia, because this is very, very important and prime hub of business, and it's basically contributes a very big portion to our revenue as well. Now, looking at how things are and how things will be, definitely the recovery is supposed to be in a staggered manner. And it's an evolving estimate at this point in time, which is very closely linked to the progress the different countries have shown or have achieved in containing the pandemic and spread. We've seen within the GCC markets, there are very strong measures in place. And the expectation is that in next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll see some kind of traction in these markets. Even in the Indian domestic market, we've seen there's a very strong resilience. And as we expect, and we sincerely hope, then next couple of weeks, perhaps in next 3 to 4 weeks, we see some kind of movement starting in the Indian market as well. But from a perspective of Europe and the further down to US, things have been, the progress has been slow, though there is signs of markets opening up, but still we see that it'll take some time. With regards to specifically West Asia markets, we see that the first thing to start will be a little bit on the domestic tourism. So that will kind of start in next 4 to 6 weeks. Then will be followed by regional one, and then of course the international one. There are guesstimates in place. A lot of organizations, IDA, McKinsey, BCG, they have been making guesstimates with regards to the evolving nature of the pandemic. At this point in time, the guesstimates are looking at July, August to restart the international operations to a certain degree. But we have seen the cases in China where there was some sign of recovery. There was a spurge at the initial stages, but then demand has gone down. So we will have to come to a new world, which is a world where will be the network has to be re-optimized to look at what are the trunk routes that an airline can service. And based on that, we will be building it very slowly and kind of very surely from there on.
So slow and cautious is really what you're looking at Gulf Air right now? Definitely, yes. Can I have Sunil VA? Sunil VA is the Vice President for India and India subcontinent from Oman. A similar question to you, Sunil. Is there any measures or steps that Oman Air has taken for a phased wise to bring the wings back up in the air? Do we have Sunil VA, please?
Morning, Carl, and all the others. I would like to, opine similar to what Vikas has mentioned. It's basically going to be a very cautious approach. We're going to build the traffic over the weeks, over the 4 to 6 weeks. We are not yet sure on what all are the markets which are opening up in terms of airports. So it will be a very cautious approach of looking at building up the initial traffic from the high demanding routes. Fortunately, West Asia is looking the most positive as of now in terms of traffic. And we're quite confident that we will lead in building traffic from India and the subcontinent into the West. So, I mean, of course, as all of you know, there are a lot of Indians who are actually, that will be the initial traffic which will be happening for the airlines who are abroad. And the government of India and all the other West Asian countries have basically taken stock since the last 2 3 days of people who would like to come back to visit their dear ones to the country. So I feel very soon, hopefully 3rd of May, we hear some news on what's happening in India and the rest of subcontinent, because most of the timelines as of now are between the 8th and 15th of May for airports to open up in the subcontinent. So we will eagerly wait to see what's happening. And then we start the traffic with what is available now and what is distress. And then we look at things going forward. Towards the West, yes, things look to be very slow because the phase of the spread or the seriousness of the spread has been taken a little late by the Western countries, which we feel will take them for some time to recover. Otherwise, I mean, quite positive that we'll be leading the traffic.
Okay. Since I have both of you all commenting from a West Asia and a Gulf Cooperation Council perspective as well, and we have another panelist, Abdul Hamid Halwachi. Abdul Hamid, Bahrain of the GCC has been historically dependent on international workforce. Do you see a drastic change in recruitment patterns from the Indian subcontinent or Asian markets? Can we have Abdul Hamid, please?
Yes, I'm with you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Sanjay. Good morning, Peter. Thank you, all my colleagues, colleagues on the panel. Let me just to, first of all, give you some information about really to recover from what's happening now in the world, especially in the hospitality sector. Okay, being an expert on hospitality sector and my perceptions that if in case there is no recovery from now for the next 3 months, 6 months, or by end of the year, okay, the world is needed to get a fund of 25 billion US dollar globally. And this is to cover the hospitality sector and the aviation industry lost. So this is a worldwide. Now, being on the Gulf area, okay, and with all the Gulf airlines, I think in the GCC, okay, so that's not only Gulf Air. I'm not talking about Gulf Air, but I'm talking about all the airlines within the Gulf area. Okay, we need to recover again. And the loss of what's happening, and not only the loss on the revenue, but also the loss in the human resource. That we need to found a 7 billion US dollar again to make sure that we are not losing all the professionals, employee. They are working on the airline and aviation industry, which is they are approximately 346 to 900,000 jobs, and this source come from the IATA. What's happened in Bahrain and especially with the hotel industry, we are at the moment, it's really running in a very low occupancy, and one of the reasons is that all the access to the country is closed, and one of the most famous between Bahrain and Saudi Arabia is the King Fahd Causeway, which is it's closed. So we have no any alternative. We have no customers. We have no guests. We have no families coming to this country. The hotels in Bahrain at the moment, they are facing with 2% or 3% on occupancy, and obviously its average room rate is really very low. The government, it's also has taken a part of a big responsibility in this country, and they have helped all the hotels, and they have helped all the small and medium organization, which the company, they have 50 staff and less on the number, and how to lift them up again, because we don't know the disease when will be disappear from from our area. The government of Bahrain, they are one of the first government, they have taken precautions to avoid any spread within the Bahrain. We are really secure. We are taking extra precautions to avoid spreading the sickness within our region. What government Bahrain has done is they have waived all the electricity charge, which is one of the main highest cost in Bahrain, especially for the hotel and for the airlines. They have waived also the municipality charge. They have waived also, the 5% government levy. This is not VAT, it's a government levy. They also has been waived. They have waived also the general insurance. So if I said waive, the Bahrain government, they have paid in behalf of all the trade. So that is all the support what we receive from them. They have postponed all the loans on the local banks and offshore banks for 6 months. They have waived all the health charges for non-Bahrainis. They have taken care of all the Bahrainis, and they had paid 3 months salary, and that's all come from the government of Bahrain. So I think there is a big support between the local organizations and the government.
Okay. But do you see, Mr. Abdul Hamid, do you see a change in pattern, a recruitment change in pattern post-COVID? Do you still see Bahrain employing people from the Indian subcontinent or from East Asia and so on? Or do you see that that's going to stop going forward? Okay. Do you see employment opportunities still existing?
Being advisor for some of the hotel owners, some of the hotel local organization in Bahrain, my advice for them is to not to send the employee back home. So there is an understanding between the private sector and between the government, okay, that they will take care part of the salaries, but the private sector, they should keep the staff on a good health. They should feed them. They should give them his right, okay? And we keep them, because to re-employ from subcontinental or from Far East, that is another cost. So we have advised them, keep them. Hopefully in a short period, this disease will be disappear. In my perceptions, okay, we are now in the holy month of Ramadan in Bahrain. Everyone is fasting, so normally it's a low business, especially for the hospitality sector and for the airlines. But we will be moving within 25 days if the authorities can open the causeway, can open the airport, and if we can receive the international cruises, so that the economic, the hospitality come back again to the normal. If not within 25 days, so we have the other celebrations coming after 3 months from now, which is I think end of July, of August, and hopefully we will be back to the normal. Today the hotels, they're running, especially the 5-star, they're running with between 3 and 5 percent on occupancy. When you see Bahrain every day, we have availability rooms about 1,600 per day. And those 3% or 4% within the 5-star, they are only from the military segment. So there is no any other market segment, we can attract to come to Bahrain. But going back to your question, yes, my advice is to keep them the employment. They are here. I am sure if Bahrain has been open again, and especially the King Fahd Causeway, the business will go back to the normal, which is, I'm talking about in the normal days, the occupancy will be between 50 and 60%, but in the weekend, they will go to 90 to 100% occupancy. So of course, we need the manpower.
Thank you, Abdul Hamid. We are running short of time, so I'm going to quickly move ahead back to our first speaker, the president of SKAL Club of Delhi, who's also a hotelier. Can I have Girish Bindra on screen? Girish, I have a question for you. What is the new normal that hotels will have to follow as they gradually open up their properties and to welcome the first set of customers? What do you think are the hotels going to be faced with in terms of hygiene, sanitation, housekeeping, security? Just give me some views on this as a hotelier.
Carl, how much time do I have? Because I can talk for 5 hours on this.
I'll give you 2 minutes and then I'll move on to the next speaker as well. We have Praveen Gandhi and to get his opinion.
Okay, so then I'll just give you a synopsis, a very brief thing. I think the key word today is clean and clean again. Clinical sanitization is what is required. We guys have to change the way we operate it, totally change. There are a few points that come to my mind straight away. For example, keeping your areas deep clean. Training has to be done. You got to ensure that there are extra disinfectants in the room. For example, regular guests going into rooms, your switches, your TV remotes, your door handles, etc. They have to be taken care of. You go into the laundry. I think you've got to specify that there'll be only 2 or 3 people handling the linen in the laundry, because earlier, we had shifts and we had people, and those 2 or 3 have to be specifically trained, because everything today is hygiene, hygiene, hygiene. If you go to fitness centers, you have to ensure that, the way I look at it, that you shut the fitness center at multiple times, because maybe 4 times, 5 times, 6 times a day, and limit it to the number of people who are going to be there. If you have 5 treadmills, only use 3. And keep sanitizing it, shut it for an hour, after 2 hours, stuff like that has to be done. Your pool usage, I don't know when the pools are going to be open. I think it's a long shot, but there's a lot of stuff like that needs to be done. Then if you talk about a guest check-in, I think it has to be a contact-less check-in. Like I was talking in one of the other panels that the latest that's coming up, it's already somewhere around the world, but here you don't even go to the duty manager or to the counter to check in. Everything is done on your cell phone, on your mobile. So check in, check out, billing, everything is done there. So the contact becomes far less. Then if you take guests, go into technology. What people are also talking about is electrostatic sprayers, which is, everything costs money, but I think in the long run, that's what you'll need. That's the need of the hour. These are, electrostatically charged, disinfected. This is like a mist. You walk in, there's like a UV tunnel. You walk into the hotel and this mist comes in. And then the same thing happens for your bags. Your bags need to be scanned. The same thing happens for your car when that is coming up. What do you do when guests are going into banquets? If there were 200 people earlier, we would have 2 buffets. Today, we have to have 4 buffets. What are you going to do in restaurants? Because in restaurants, you've got to have distancing. You can't have 4 people sitting on the thing. So all these things have to be thought of. And the way to do it is, I think the need of the hour and moving forward, like we have revenue managers, we had F&B managers today, I think we need COVID-19 managers, people who are totally trained, someone who's based in a hotel. And I think that's what is required, because that person is responsible. And any little thing, whether it's internal, like it's an internal customer, or external, very important. And it also has to come from within. So these are some of the things that I thought are very important for us moving forward.
Thank you, Girish. And that's a very important point that you made in terms of COVID-19 managers. I think that's going to be a new.
That's an excellent question, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Excellent response, as a matter of fact. Carl, can I ask Mr. Gandhi a question, if you don't mind?
Yes, please.
Mr. Gandhi, my question to you is, the sustainable success of any company depends on mainly two pillars. One is ability to generate profits, and second is ability to effectively manage cash flows. So I need your comments on that. And we also need to know that, there is a lot of technology companies which focus only on cash flows and give more prominence to valuation. What I mean here is they are more concerned about the numbers they get, so the valuation increases. But traditional travel companies have always been focusing on profits and have been compromising by cash flows by extending huge credits to their clients. So I need you to answer these two questions if you can, please. Mr. Gandhi.
Yeah, Sanjay, thanks a lot. Thanks for bringing it to the perspective. Yes, I fully agree with you that in the last 1 decade, possibly what has happened is that broadly the travel companies, if you really look at them, one set of companies are running or chasing the valuations, and the other set of companies are chasing the bottom line. The set of companies which are chasing the top line or the valuations, they are compromising on the profitability, because if you really see their balance sheets, what is happening is they are accumulating losses year-on-year basis, and some of the companies have huge amount of losses on their balance sheets, However, what they are really chasing is a valuation and the funding, So the moment the top line goes up, they just go out in the market, get a next round of funding, bring enough liquidity to really carry on, So there is a compromise on the profitability piece, but they are comfortable on the cash flow piece, But when you look at the other set of companies which are focusing on the bottom line, they are giving huge amount of credits in the market and compromising on the cash flows, So possibly both the set of companies today under the present crisis would realize that they need to balance out their way of working, When I say they need to balance it out, because this particular crisis have proved to us that how fragile the valuations can be, Share market, if you really look at it, there are different sectors where the market cap has gone down from 15% to 50%, as low as 50%. We have seen the mutual funds going down they're shutting down their shops, Government is trying to help them. That said, the point that I'm trying to make is that valuation is not the end of the story, How fragile they are unless or until they're supplemented by the bottom line, it has been exposed in these crises, So what I would really like is that in the present set of crises, all the travel companies that possibly working on, and if they really want to build a sustainable business model, they need to raise certain questions to themselves as on date, and then possibly prepare themselves for the post-COVID era, as to how they can really have a sustainable long-term business running for them. The questions that really come to my mind is, will the GDS payouts continue the way they have been in past? Of course, they are on reductions, Will the airlines continue to dump or invest into NDC as they have been doing it? There's a question mark to it, because everyone is short of liquidity. Will the airlines continue to pay the PLBs as they were paying it in past? There's a question mark to that. So what was happening was that traditional travel companies, if you really look at it, 50% by and large, I'm not really putting any hard percentages to it, but 50% of their revenue was coming from the back-end revenue, which is GDS and the PLBs. And the 50% was coming from the client revenue, which is for the servicing the client, Will that ratio continue? If not, then what do we need to do to really build this long-term sustainable business out of it? What is the value proposition that we need to really offer to our clients? Are we going to sell the tickets, air tickets like a commodity on the shelf, like a Kirana shop? Or we are going to really back it up with the value proposition? What is that value proposition, and what a client would pay for that value proposition that he is going to get here? I think it is very, very important that a travel agent has to understand that they have to learn to stand on their own feet instead of being instead of being dependent on the hidden revenues which come from the supplier management. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because
so basically, what you mean to say is, don't go with the flow, bite the tide now.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't bite the tide, you will perish.
Absolutely. That's point number one. And point number two is stop extending the credit, It's a time to really work out the right kind of a business model by means of which you get paid either on the credit card or through the different ways of the payment methods which are available in the market. And the second important question which comes to my mind during these crises is that we have seen that ITA is a very strong body which is protecting the airlines.
Yeah.
Do we have a similar trade body which is protecting the travel agency community, which is supporting the airlines in turn? Is ITA really supporting the travel agents in turn? They are taking a fee from each and every travel agent. Can they really protect the travel agents community? Is TAI, TAFI are doing enough as on date to really protect and support the travel agency community? Can we really have an organization which possibly come out and then really show their mice at this stage of time? So these are the different questions which are coming to my mind. Do I have the answers for everything? No, I don't have. But these are the questions which will possibly drive the future business model of a travel company. And that is what I would like.
Going forward, we need to be more careful on how we sign our contracts, either with ITA or otherwise, for that matter.
Absolutely.
Girish, you want to say something? Yeah, Girish.
Absolutely. And then one more point I would like.
One sec, Girish wants to say something, then we can come back again, Mr. Gandhi.
Other point that I want to look at is that today cash is the king, Why do we have to pay so much of the deposits to the low-cost carriers? Why can't they be covered by the BG which is given to ITA? Why is that? Why can't they release the money so the travel agents can heave a sigh of relief? Why can't the travel bodies could go to the Ministry of Aviation to say that please push the corporates to ask them to really appeal them to really make the payments to the travel agents because their future is at stake, their survival is at stake. So these are the different questions which are coming to my mind, which possibly would determine what would be the future business model for a travel agency business.
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. Girish, you had something to say.
Praveen, I love you for this, what you said, because, every coin has a flip side. And I just love if every guest who walks into a hotel is already prepaid. I think that's where we get stuck with travel agents because they take 60 days to pay up. So there's always a flip side. But I think it's a great approach. And I think we all should move forward with this kind of a thing in mind. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Girish, for endorsing that.
Carl, over to you. Carl.
Yeah, I'm here. So my next question, and we'll just wrap up in the next 3 minutes. So I have a question for Dr. Deepak and of course our friends from Gulf and Oman. So quickly, Dr. Deepak, just as Girish Bindra spoke about protocols in the hotel chains, is Nepal or are you in dialogue with the association, with the government, preparing any protocols for the hospitality to take into countermeasures against COVID?
Yes, I already mentioned this point. We have already, drafted one a kind of guidelines and protocol. On that end, it is given to all the respective associations. For example, for hotel sectors, it is given to the Hotel Association of Nepal to get their feedback. And then once we get their feedback very soon, and we will compile and then we'll make an infographic to communicate to the industry. So it is already in the process, the work in progress. So very soon we are going to do this.
Right. Okay. Can I come to Vikas Mandra, please? Vikas, has Gulf Air put in place protocols for safety, for hygiene and sanitization?
Yes, we have been fortunate that even in the crisis time we've been always flying, and we've been even welcoming the transit passengers. So it has given us an opportunity to try and test certain models. And very recently we rolled out 6 golden principles which are out there, and we have kind of making it as part of our DNA, right from all customer touch points, right from the point a customer walks into the airport to the time he actually departs with his bags. looking at the seating arrangements, looking at how do we do the check-in and make it contactless for the passengers. Also looking at how do we support the safe interactions on board. The cabin crew has been trained and they are equipped with the personal protection equipments as well, for making sure that the customers are they don't have to worry about the shared spaces. We are making extra efforts in sanitizing every single point that a customer would sit on. So his seat, the handles, his overhead lockers, air vents, all are being extra cleaned. The meals on board have been redesigned to make them completely contactless. And also we are encouraging the customers to reduce items on board and travel light, because that's in everyone's interest, that the sanitization of these equipments are done as and when they are coming in contact with that. So these have been rolled out, and it's throughout the organization is being made as part of the DNA. And this will be, as we go for a scale-up model, this will be the road plan for us moving forward.
Thank you, Vikas. Sunil, Oman Air, what sort of protocols have you all already put in place or planning on implementing? Do we have Sunil?
Yeah, Carl, hi. We have been following certain protocols, since we have been, flying certain flights, rescue flights to many countries still. And of course, the prime objective now is build the confidence. That's the message which we have sent across all our team members, where they are in sales, reservations, airports, because that's the key. Because we need to build the confidence of our passenger that they'll be safe flying with us and from these airports. The good thing what has happened is there are a lot of airports which have come out with the measures of sanitization which they have implemented, and it is available on public domain, which public is looking at the moment. And every day we say that new protocols from the civil aviation authorities of countries are being posted. So it's actually work in progress everywhere, and every day we come up with something new which we want to implement. As far as airport in Oman, yes, it's well equipped, and we are ready for any kind of traffic which suddenly starts flowing in. So, the message for everybody, I think, in the industry as well, is that the need to build confidence for people to travel, and that will be the key.
I just want to thank all our speakers, because
I have a question for Vikas and Sunil VA.
Please.
Vikas and Sunil VA, especially for you two. I am one of those people who have worked in erstwhile Gulf Air, when Gulf Air used to be the only airline operating to GCC, as a matter of fact. Going forward, does any one of you think that you can combine synergies and come back stronger? Because regionalization of airlines have obviously eaten into each other's business. But going forward, if you synergize your energies of doing some kind of code shares or something of that sort, would it not be a good idea? Because I think that is the way forward. Rather than airline, for every organization to basically find synergies in their stakeholders and move forward.
Very true, Sanjay. Thank you for this question. Actually, we've been working, even pre-COVID levels, we've been working very, very closely with Oman Air, with Etihad, and building up the code-share relationships. And moving forward, as I was speaking earlier, the era will be to focus on the key trunk routes, and every airline has its unique strengths in terms of the core routes that they fly. So more and more synergies, more and more code shares will be the need of the hour as we go forward, because with these synergies only we'll be able to better service our passengers and take them wherever they want to go. Because for the times to come, definitely, at least for the next couple of seasons, airlines will not be operating on their full schedule, but will be focusing on the course. So we will have to combine the course to make this happen.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you. Sonal, your comments?
Yeah, Sanjay, actually, during this COVID, it's been a learning lesson for all of us in terms of size and shape. We really are looking at how we should be at the time, at each phase, and we already have a plan in terms of what's going to happen in the next 6 months and what will be for the next 2 years. So the focus continues to be on alliances, which we have with the regional airlines like Gulf Air, Etihad, Qatar Airways, all these airlines. And then, we really look at how we can expand further in terms of our strengths, what we have in West Asia, which we currently, most of the airline partners leverage from the West. So this will be key. And I think going forward, you'll see more airlines combining operations and, helping each other.
Thank you. So colleagues, if airlines can do it, why can't we also do it? That is my message to you. So go ahead, form alliances, get synergies in place, and then move forward. I think it'll be a better place for everybody, in my opinion. Carl, over to you.
Thank you. I just want to thank all our speakers.
Carl, can I just have one question?
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Vijay.
So far, whatever we've been speaking is about two things. One is best practices, and second is getting the best price. I think, in my opinion, we have to now change our way of thinking. We have deliberated this over so many, I think, decades. We've been talking about all these problems that we have discussed today. But I think now time has come where we're giving the consumer more than he really deserves, because he's not able to pay a price for what he's asking us to give. I think that is one area where we have to start looking at as to how we can get the best price from the best value from the customer. Now, the reason why we haven't been able to do it over so many decades is because we've been undercutting each other. We have no regulation. We have no system in place where we can control what pricing each one of the arms of the industry has to work together. So I think time has come to collaborate. And this collaboration can happen in many ways, but I don't think this is the format, this is the forum for that. But I think time has come when we are able to work out a method by which we can get the best price for the products that we are giving the customer.
So Vijay, let's get together and formalize a plan to how to collaborate and how to move forward. Let's sit on this one of these days and decide the way forward. Okay. Thank you everybody. Thank you, Carl. Carl, you can take it forward now. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So let's look at firstly how many. We've got several hundred participants on. Lots of questions coming. We're running short of time. I just want to acknowledge, I've been going through all the attendees, Sanjay, and I just want to acknowledge all our attendees that I can see names coming in here from Japan. I've got names coming here either from Australia or New Zealand, people coming in from the Philippines, and of course, a lot of our Indian participants, several hundred of them. So thank you all for being here and for hanging on. I know we are running a bit late. But thank you to all our panelists on session 1. Thank you for being here. Before we get on to the second session, we have a few more messages that have specially come in. The next message that we have is from colleague Bernard Vijayatunge, who's the president for SKAL Club of Colombo from Sri Lanka. So can we have colleague Bernard's message, please?
Dear colleagues, I am Bernard Vijayatunga, President of SKAL International Colombo. My committee and I wish colleagues all over the world a happy World SKAL Day. The current situation on COVID-19 continues to remain a growing concern globally. Sri Lanka, being a resilient nation, has overcome many difficult times in the past, such as the terrorist war, the tsunami, SARS, and the Easter Sunday bombings, etc. However, despite all these challenging times, we are convinced that we will bounce back strongly and resume business in the very near future. We look forward to working with all colleagues in keeping with our motto, doing business amongst friends. God bless all colleagues with happiness, good health, friendship, long life. SKAL.
Thank you very much, colleague Bernard. If you are listening us, kindly convey our best wishes to all colleagues in Colombo. God bless you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
And we have another message, a voice message from colleague Sabrina Naidu. For those of you who may not be familiar with Sabrina, she was former president of SKAL International India. and of course, currently on the executive committee of SKAL International Chennai. Can we have Sabrina's message, please?
Hello, dear colleagues. Greetings from Chennai. Today is World SKAL Day. Normally, it would have been celebrated differently if not for this unprecedented crisis we are all experiencing. But I'm sure we are all doing our part in some way or the other by working to keep our SKAL spirit alive. With our commitment to SKAL, we need to continue to stand together in these difficult times and hope that our industry will recover sooner than later. It's an apt time to remember words from our SKAL hymn. Our SKAL union linking every land, we will prosper long and expand with health, joy, happiness, and our friendship. Take care, stay safe, and God bless. SKAL.
Thank you so very much, Sabrina. Sabrina, I am really, honored to have a message from you on this webinar. Sabrina has been a little unwell. In spite of that, she is able to send that message. She is one of the most respected past presidents of SKAL India. And my congratulations to her, and also a big thank you to her for sending this message. Thank you, Sabrina, once again.
And we now have a message, the last message that's come in from the president of SKAL International India, Ranjini Nambiar. So can we have colleague Ranjini's message before we move on to session 2, please?
Hi, this is Ranjini Nambiar, SKAL India National President, wishing all my fellow colleagues in Asia and world over a happy SKAL Day. This year, we missed the joys of being together at the Asia Congress in Phuket. But in these tough times, we show solidarity by standing together and supporting one another in our businesses. Stay strong and be mind positive. This too shall pass, and we will rebuild our businesses together. SKAL.
Thank you, dear Ranjini, and it was lovely to see Ranjini there. And in the background, I could also see the SKAL Asia flag, which is very heartening to know that she's still retaining it nice and proper. So thank you, Ranjini, and thank you, SKAL India as well, on behalf of everybody. Thank you.
So let's get on to session 2, ladies and gentlemen. Plenary session 2 deals with Southeast Asia and East Asia. We have with us colleague Andrew Chan, who's the CEO for ACI HR Solutions from Singapore. And we're going to be putting some serious HR questions to him. We have with us Rajan Dua, Managing Director and co-founder at Udaan India. So they do a lot of visas for a lot of countries. Welcome, Rajan. We have with us Vikram Madhok. Vikram Madhok is the former chairman of WTC, World Travel and Tourism Council in India. He's also the president for the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and the vice chairman for PATA, and a luxury specialist. So welcome, Vikram, and thank you for being here. We have colleague Hero Liao. Hero is from SKAL International Taipei. He is the club president for SKAL International Taipei. He is also a part of the Howard Prince Hotel, Taichung chairman, Taichung Tourist Hotel Association president. So Hero, thank you for being here, and gentlemen, thank you for hanging on. I know we are delayed, and of course, but a pleasure to have you all here. And can we begin? Sanjay, would you like to begin with the first question?
Yeah, before we begin, I must tell you that PATA and SKAL has an MOU in place. So Vikram, welcome on that behalf also, on that front also. And thank you very much coming from one and all. My first question is to Andrew. Andrew, you being an HR man, how do you think the current crisis is affecting one and all? As a matter of fact, I want to reply from you on both aspects, from an employer perspective and from an employee perspective, please, if you don't mind. Andrew, can't hear you. Yeah, better now.
Is that better?
Yeah,
That's fine.
It's obviously tough times on both sides. We've seen mass retrenchment on the employee side, and that's obviously going to take a toll and take effects on staffing. It's an unfortunate situation, and I think employers try as they may, and I think at the beginning of this year, I think this would probably pass by around this sort of time. But I think everyone is scrambling. Everyone is waiting for new information with bated breath. So business owners are also facing their own financial challenges. And employees obviously are going to be affected. We've already seen in the numbers for unemployment that's across the region that's going to go to unprecedented levels. We're talking about levels that's around the Great Depression times. In Australia we're looking at double digit. At Singapore we're looking at predictions of 5 to 6%. So it's it's going to be a huge challenge on both sides.
Sorry. Can I put this question across to Hero also? Hero, how do you think Taiwan as such is fighting with the situation or taking charge of the season? Because we see that your country is the least affected as of now. We don't know what the future holds. We hope it remains the way it is. So how do you think these challenges are affecting your club as well as your country for that?
Okay, for Taipei, I think we're more or less blessed that we have one of the lowest confirmed COVID-19 inflictions, 498 to be confirmed now. And as a matter of fact, we have 290 that's already released. So we're blessed. I mean, even because considering the fact that we're close to China. I think we see something a little bit interesting that we see is we before the viral outbreak, we had a lot of Taiwanese expats that were working in China, and we see some that have second thoughts about staying in Taiwan to work, which I personally got a lot of candidates that were looking to find jobs in Taiwan. So that's something interesting that I see. And another surprising thing that we also find in Taiwan is that, given the situation of this outbreak, I think we did the bullet test, and I think we feel that, medical health is a strength of Taiwan. And I think we learned our lesson back in 2013 from SARS. So that's also one of the reasons why Taiwan has done relatively well facing this pandemic. And in the industry, I think because we've in Taiwan, I think tourism is something that's being redefined, where we're thinking perhaps we need to concentrate more on how to improve and market the quality of travel to our domestic tourists. And of course, our neighboring countries has always been very important: Japan, Korea, Hong Kong. So, nevertheless, back to the industry that I'm from, hotels, personal hygiene, from staff level to education, working with the medical industry. I mean, this is one multidisciplinary that I see that's an opportunity for hoteliers to concentrate more, and perhaps this would be something to promote to neighborhood countries in the near future. And of course, like SKAL, we're trying to create trust and confidence in our stakeholders, our future clients. And I think from this, there's also the case where we need to think more about risk management, which, in the past we're thinking about globalization, but we forgo the idea of risk, how to manage risk in a more disciplined manner, so due diligence. And so lastly, I think the other thing that we feel that Taiwan has been doing relatively well is the act of compassion. You know, how do we help our citizens in Taiwan? How do we help the citizens around the globe to create better service? Since I think SKAL, the idea is also serving others. So this is something to share with other members in our platform today. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiro. My next question is to Vikram, who has been sitting very patiently and listening to everybody. Vikram, I just want to put you into one perspective, is that you handle luxury most of the time, and you have a luxury brand with A&K. So do you think luxury will be a luxury henceforth, or luxury will survive?
You know, you said it right. I've been sitting very patiently. I've enjoyed hearing all the panelists, some wonderful comments, and I'm so glad you actually brought in my main day job into the forum. I'm the managing director for Abercrombie in Kent, while of course I wear several industry hats. So Sanjay, thank you for bringing me on to this international forum. It's absolutely wonderful to hear the galaxy of speakers. I think I will try and address this twofold: short term and medium to long. Yeah. In the short term, we really are going to be faced with turbulent times, trying to bring back whether luxury or first class or whichever international traveler. I think it's going to be baby steps. It's going to be baby steps for the industry. You know, we've really had the whole industry has had a body blow from airlines, hotels, travel companies across the spectrum. So for us, I think the billion-dollar question is, when will it start? When will borders open? When will the international airlines start to fly? You've heard Girish speak about hygiene and sanitation. The other Galaxy speakers have spoken about safety, security. I think it's just instilling confidence levels and back into our traveler to bring them back. To come back to luxury travel, not in the short term, perhaps in the long term. When I say beyond 12 months. But leisure travel is here to stay. Don't forget, luxury travel, in every adversity, the luxury traveler has an opportunity. So a lot of them are well-heeled people, especially Abercrombie and Kent travelers across the globe. So we've seen it over the years. I've been through several of these in the last 25, 30 years of my working career between hotels and the travel industry. We are very resilient. We will bounce back, and we'll bounce back very well. But the big elephant in the room is, when will all that happen? I think that's really, that's the big question. Also, how are we going to change the terms of engagement? How are these people going to travel? So these are many questions, but I'll reserve my comments to your specific question and then try and field them as they come along.
No, my question to you was: is the luxury going to be luxury in future? So I need you to put some kind of comment on that, please.
100%, no question. I think I answered it. A luxury traveler will remain luxury, and in fact, he's going to be far more discerning. And I don't really want to preclude the others from this discussion, but a lot of our guests travel on private jets. So for them, it's excellent. They come on their private jets. They have minimal interaction. We've worked on all our processes from the time they set foot in the country. They go into high-end resorts. Maybe they change the pattern of travel. Maybe they start staying longer in each destination. But luxury is here to stay completely, not a question. In fact, it's going to get even bigger. You're going to have more and more, and I don't want to preclude the first class, 4-star, 5-star properties, but I think this segment will grow and it's here to stay. And it's for us all to enjoy in the long term. In the short term, we have to wait it out and see.
Thank you, Vikram. That was putting it nicely across, and very heartening to know that you were so hungover about it. But then I think how it goes forward. Over to you, Carl, for our next set of questions. You have a few people waiting.
I want to continue with a question to Vikram. Vikram, I know you're on the other side of the fence when it comes to a segment of traveler that you look at. But do you see this, that we're coming to, do you see an era of the end of group departures or series departures? Do you see a new era of FIT, general FIT and Lux FIT?
Again, excellent question, Carl. I wish I had a straight jacketed answer for you. I would give it to you right away. But having said that, let me try and address it. Traditionally, India being a long-haul destination has attracted a lot of groups, especially from language-speaking markets. So you have Spain, you got France, you got Germany, you got Switzerland, Italy, Chinese. So you've had group travel who would come together because they would have a tour director who would leave them and ensure their safety, security, and so on and so forth. I think maybe people will start traveling more individually, to answer your question specifically. But group travel is not going to go away because a lot of people want to travel. In fact, one of the reasons why people travel is to meet other people, or not to travel, especially solo travelers or people who want to go with a small group. So group travel is here to remain, to stay. We might see in the short to medium term more FIT, which is individual travel. But eventually, I do believe group travel is here to remain and it probably come back a lot stronger.
Okay, thank you, Vikram. And I'm going to come to you, Rajan, since your company deals with visas. And I'm going to take off from the statement that Vikram made on group travel and luxury travel, keeping in line with group. How is UDAN, or what do you see as the future for visa applications? Question number one is, what do you see the future in terms of handling of applications look like? Question number two, how will group travel, in your opinion, continue, especially in light of visa applications post-COVID? Have you heard from any of the governments that you deal with? Are we looking at certificates, looking at medical certificates? Give me a few comments on this, Rajan, please.
Yeah, of course. Good afternoon to all my fellow panelists, and good afternoon to all the participants and audience. To begin with, I'm very impressed what Vikram said, and these are very encouraging things. What he's saying, that luxury and leisure is going to stay, which of lately I haven't heard. I've been attending a lot of webinars and a lot of group discussions. But nevertheless, one thing which I've seen, we all have become, I'll use the word demotional. So we are detached with the outer world, but we are emotional. We are passionate about our own business. And we are looking back, striving hard to gather how we can bounce back. Coming back to your question, Carl, yes, visa will see a sea of change in terms of regulation, in terms of submission, in terms of processing. I think it's going to change very rapid. Maybe the governments, the immigration team were thinking of putting everything electronically, but now will be on fast track mode very soon. I think most of the countries are doing and following the same practice of less of physical documentation and less of human nature, but definitely that's going to be the future. So I think the rules will become more stringent in terms of applying visas. We will have very soon a column in our visa application. Are you suffering from any disease? Are you affected by C19 or anybody in your family or nears and dears? Which is going to be a very, very important and vital question. And I'm sure they're going to take this as a very serious mood. So how we are answering it or how we are filling up in the form, which is very, very key. I feel, I know everybody knows that visa will have a challenge. We have few airlines guys with us who are discussing on how they will operate on by air. But I feel that people who are 55 plus in that category, where people are doing holidays,
that will be a big question for them as well to clear, because their application is going to take time, because they will have to go through maybe more of a medical, a test or fitness levels. But nevertheless, yes, before the lockdown things happened, I must share it with you that I'm talking of last week of February, and when this China was already at its peak, there was one Arab council, and we were talking on one urgent application to be processed, and he says, boss, we can't do any urgent application because we sanitize your papers. So they started it long back before me and you are talking on this today. So I know these governments, these embassies will prefer to have less of a human interaction. I was talking to our friends at VFS. In fact, I heard Vinay as well, that even they are planning to maintain a distance, social distancing and security of people who are walking into VFS to apply their visas. So maybe tomorrow you feel that everything is digitalized and you have uploaded your papers, and if you need to submit your passport, maybe they don't need physical presence. They might ask VFS to courier it to VFS or courier it to the embassy. Vice versa, you receive your application. So we are expecting a lot of changes which are going to happen when it comes to visas as such. Talking of the groups and MICE, I feel that that's not going to happen so soon, but we all are passionate about travel, and you know how MICE works and how group travel works. But yes, we will have to give time till maybe next of March or April that we will have a clarity on it, but definitely it's going to happen. It's not going to stop. Yes, the essential travel, which we handle a lot of corporates, Udan does a lot of corporate, and we handle a lot of TMCs. Yes, we are getting calls and they are asking us whether you will be able to support us 24/7, which we have already agreed, because it's high time that we need to come back to our main business. But yes, essential and business travel will begin once these announcements are made on how to travel. Yes, we'll have to prepare all our travelers that the visa application is going to take time. You have to go through all these medicals. Even if you are clearing the immigration, you will have to be reporting 4 hours or 5 hours earlier, because again, the temperature, maybe they'll have a mechanism to test you at the airport as well, maybe on flight as well. I saw one of the videos that they'll check your blood or temperature on the flight itself. So there are going to be a lot of things which we have to wait and watch. I feel that these are early days. But yes, one thing is for sure, that whatever is going to happen, it's going to be on a global platform. So India will also follow the same practice what other countries will follow. So everyone will have that open view.
Thank you, Rajan. And I'm going to come to Andrew, and then I will end the session with Hero. Andrew, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a tough question, especially since you're the HR man on this panel. Andrew, there are some travel agents across Asia, whether it's in Southeast Asia and East Asia, or even here in the Indian subcontinent. Travel agents with staff of 10 and travel agents with staff of 100. What do you advise? Retrench or retrain?
Oh, that's a really, really tough one, and it's going to be obviously situational to each organization and each company. And I think one of the earlier speakers talked about cash flow and cash being king, and I think that is so very true at times like these. My advice to a lot of businesses at the moment, obviously, is your CFO has to be your best friend at the moment. You're constantly going to be looking at your cash flow and constantly going to be looking at your numbers. And if the numbers don't make sense, then, I hate to say it, being the HR guy, you are going to have to look at that R word, which is retrenchment, because that is, it is a business strategy. I think I agree with most of the other speakers. I think we're probably only just at the start of the start of it now, and it's going to be a bit of a long road to recovery. So, where you can, you're obviously working with the government bodies, and I think a lot of the governments are offering incentives and subsidies for employees to try and keep as much jobs as possibly can. But I guess it has to make sense for that business. It has to make sense for that business. If there is simply no sales and there's nothing there, then obviously you are going to have to look at your manpower, because I think the key word at the moment is survival. You've got to survive through this, and it's going to be 6, 12, 18 months possibly.
So Andrew, just one more question. you know, HR has always seen to be, the HR department's always been a boring department to work with, right? It's always been the bane of every organization. And so do you see a sudden rush on a lighter note with everyone wanting to meet the HR head and become his best bum chum?
No, you know what? If the CFO at the moment is your right arm, the chief HR person at the moment is probably going to be your left arm. I mean, HR has often been an admin role, but now I guess more than ever, it's got to be a strategic role. You've got to work with your HR person internally to really map what your talent is now, or what your manpower is now, and what it's going to be in the next 3, 6, 12 months, and what you're going to be doing with the talents that you still have. Because I think one of the other biggest issues at the moment that I'm also seeing is motivation. So you can cut and do your retrenchment exercises, but it's also going to affect your productivity of the people that remain in the organization if it's not done well. So that's one of the other issues, is that, you know, you also have to pay close attention to those that actually remain in your organization if you do go the route of retrenchment. What are you going to do with the staff that remains, who are going to be working, you know, 2 or 3 people's jobs, or who may have lost a colleague that they've worked with for 10, 20 years? How do you motivate them? So it's equally important to motivate those that remain in the organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. It's a sobering last comment, but thank you so much. Hero, I'm going to come to you. Thank you for being so patient and being there and hanging in. Hero, you wear many, many hats. So the question I have is the Taiwan government or the industry associations working together to build a plan that safeguards the hospitality and travel industry? Is there some best industry practices that is currently being deployed in your country that you would like to share with us, that perhaps it would be a guide to some of the other countries?
Okay, right now I think everyone is still very concentrated on how to minimize the viral infliction. So I mean, we were one of the first countries in Asia to ban flights from China. I think many of you probably are aware. And I've been working with a lot of the different associations, hotel association, travel agency association, and also with a couple of legislators, just to feel what are possible way to weather the situation. So like, I think some of our speakers that I've mentioned, you know, giving subsidies, tax breaks, electrical bill, water bill, delays in that, property tax. I mean, I think these are things that we've done just to alleviate. And I quite agree with what Andrew has been saying. I mean, our organizations, it's all about the human side of a organization. And I think change is inevitable, and everyone needs to move in that direction. I think so far, I think the attitude of the government with the private sector has been more or less amicable. It's just that there's too many moving parts to figure out where to start. And I think some of that comes to the point where we, from the private sector, have to work with the local townships, communities, to take off some of the load from the government. And of course, and it gets back to the idea of what's the humanness of the individual. And I think you know, the irony is, you know, we've seen the whole lockdown around the globe, but at the same time we see the positive impact of the environment. So I think there really needs to be a redefinition of tourism. And what we see in Taiwan now is we're focusing probably for the next 9 months minimum, I think, on improving confidence of the domestic tourism. And by that, we're implementing big data. I think one of the gentlemen had mentioned about infographics. For instance, we have the roadside surveillance cameras. So that also helps the traveler decide if they want to go to the nearby lake for sightseeing, you know. And of course, from the hotel side, we can help to direct and guide, you know, where to go. So I think the irony is basically Taiwan has a lot of nature, and these are things that in the past have not been fully marketed and developed. And just getting more confidence from the domestic tourists, I think that would also help to bridge for the future with opening up with other neighboring countries. And we're also working very closely with the travel agencies. You know, of course, in the past, it's the price competitive model. And then I think there are some travel agencies that's also thinking on how do we add value or extend the duration once the international route comes to Taiwan, just to minimize the carbon footprint. And of course, how do we create more multidisciplinary ideas where, I mean, I think one hidden talent of Taiwan is health. So maybe that would be something to offer for future travel audiences. And so, I mean, these are ideas that's on the table, but we're also trying to figure out what are concrete elements to put in the midterm and long term. And of course, the airline, you know, social distancing airline. I mean, sometimes it's a bit of an oxymoron. And with hotels, right now we're also thinking to work with, actually accelerating the whole idea of working with a lot of startups, like the case of food delivery, which was not really a big thing for hotel restaurants. So this is another thing that's happening now in Taiwan. Yeah.
Thank you, Hiro. And I do agree with you that I think even in India, we are looking at, and of course this is for, I think, markets across Asia, that you'll have to look at domestic movement. And that kind of just restarts the machinery in slow and easy baby steps as we go back again towards normalization, or the new normal, as they say.
Right. Right. The new normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Hiro. Sanjay, I think we'll close the session. It's 12:15. So I think I'd request you to kindly give some closing remarks and invite World President Peter and to also provide his closing remarks. In the meanwhile, thank you to all our panelists on session 2. Thank you so much for being here.
I don't think so. Peter is there. Can't see him. Peter, are you there?
I think he had to go for another session, as he said earlier. Would you like to close, Sanjay?
Yeah. All right. First of all, I need to thank all the panelists who have accepted to be on board. Thank you for your valuable feedback. There are some good pointers which have come out of it, coming from Girish, that they will have to appoint somebody as a COVID-19 manager. Optimism from Vikram in terms of luxury. Some good feedbacks from both our panelists as far as airlines are concerned. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Hiro, for your comments. Needless to mention, Deepak's feedbacks are always welcome. For everybody who is attending, we have on screen 3 email IDs which you can note down right now. These are PMs. We are sorry, we are already overshot with time, and everybody will have their prior appointments, in my opinion, and it's close approaching lunchtime also. We have all across Asia, so people will be going late into evening, especially President Peter, who would be, I think, past his dinner time by now. So thank you one and all who have attended this. In case you find it useful, that is what our intention was. And my special thanks to Informa team, and special thanks to Carl was a very dear friend who is always there to help. I just called him once and asked him for his help. He readily agreed. So thank you one and all. And special thanks to Peter and Vijay. We know that SKAL International shall be hand-holding us and helping us to come up with certain alternatives in the near future. So we look forward to some feedback from SKAL International also on this. And anybody who's got any comments or any suggestions going forward can send emails on these 3 email IDs, which is me, Mr. Mungari is from Informa, and Kalwas, who is the moderator. We shall be sharing the recording of this webinar with you soon. Thank you very much, and all of you take care, stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. Thank you very much to all the colleagues across Asia and all the panelists on this panel. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
God
Sanjay.
bless you. Take care. Thank you, Pallavi. Again, God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.